as you're asking questions and as you're uncovering information from your prospect, you should be speaking 20% of the time. The prospect should be speaking 80% of the time. If you're doing that, you got it right. Three ways to accelerate stalling sales. So when your sales are...
Isn't that funny?
See,
the way you say something, your cadence
right,
is probably the most important thing.
There we go.
By the way, what do you think of my digs?
You look terrific.
That's right.
You do. You look great. You look great.
I'm telling you, getting, being well-dressed is probably the most, you get the most immediate response of any tool that you could bring into a sales situation or any situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're sizing you up right from the beginning, right?
Boom, and you get to choose, how you look. And so I'm a big fan, because, let me tell you something. Here's something you need to remember that I was taught. Every conversation, a transaction is taking place.
That's right.
You said before, listen, don't be so well-dressed, you're not on an interview. Every conversation, there's an interview taking place.
That's right.
Someone's deciding whether or not they're buying or selling, or if they're, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a product. People are deciding whether they're buying and selling your ideas.
Right.
There's a lot of these politicians, they say garbage. They say literally stuff that makes no sense, but they look good. My gosh. They look good.
But you got to control. Here's the word that you use that really resonates with me.
Garbage?
No, that one does too. Control.
Yeah.
Control the things that you can control.
Yeah.
And also be in control of the sales event, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's all the little things that make a big thing. Like the way that you're dressed, the way that you present yourself, the way that you manage the sales event from end to end, like all of those things. And then as soon as you lose control of the sales event, and as soon as you give that power back to your prospect, what typically happens?
Yeah, you lose the sale.
You lose the sale.
Yeah, you lose control, you lose the sale.
Right.
Now, but is letting the other person talk, letting the other person share, gaining or losing control?
Gaining control. So, because as you're asking questions and as you're uncovering information from your prospect, you should be speaking 20% of the time. The prospect should be speaking 80% of the time. If you're doing that, you got it right. Because if you're just throwing out features and benefits and hoping something sticks, you're doing it wrong. You can't sell features and benefits anymore. You can't do it that way.
And I'm sharing this with you because this is the challenge with me. As a salesperson, sometimes you're in a call with somebody, or finally they agreed to an appointment, and you're like, yeah, all that stuff. And the person on the other end, they've been through this a billion times, and so they're calm, they're cool, they're collected. So, Chris, tell me what you got. And you, as the salesperson, are expected to talk at that time, right?
That's right. That's right.
And by doing that, you just said previously you're losing control. How do you overcome that?
So let's try it.
All right.
Tell me what you got.
All right, Chris, tell me what you got.
Well, Sales Arbiter, what we do is we help companies grow, right? By finding more opportunities for them and helping them grow their business and really take their business to the next level.
So you're a lead generating firm?
Well, we do help on the marketing side, but really we're just sales focused. Now, I could tell you all the things that we do for our clients. I could tell you every single part of the process, how we build foundational processes, how we build initiatives, how we help companies recruit sales leaders. I could tell you all about that, but that's not really what's important today, Dan. What's important is what's important to you. So if you don't mind, let me ask you a couple questions. All
right, but what's important to me, Mr. Salesperson, is I got 15 minutes.
Right?
All right? So, again, why should I be talking to you?
Listen, I probably don't do anything really efficiently in 15 minutes. Now, what I can do is just see if there's a fit between our two organizations. And if there is, then it might make sense for us to schedule something where we have a little bit more time. Am I just blowing smoke here, or is this making any sense to you?
Cruz, you got me now.
Yeah.
I'm not making any promises about getting me later. Tell me, how can you help my company?
Okay. Well, do you need more sales? Are you looking to grow your organization this year? Have you seen any issues, or have you had any issues at building your company over 2020?
We're doing pretty well, but obviously we have to adjust. And we're
pretty well
changing
means?
pretty well means we're on course for last year's numbers, but there's no real growth.
Is that where you expected to be?
No, of course. Nobody expected anything with this crazy stuff going on right now.
Right? So if there's one thing you could change, what would that be?
Boom. All right. Got it. Okay.
You just
that
keep
was
going.
that was very good.
You just keep going.
Now,
just
you
keep
could do
going.
that because you're a pro and you've been doing this forever. But what do you say to someone who's just getting started?
Ask questions. If you find yourself talking more in the event than listening and obtaining information and really trying to figure out what's important to your prospect, you're doing it wrong. Every question that the prospect asks you is coming from somewhere. You have to be a detective to figure that out. You have to ask questions to figure that out. And if you don't know where it's coming from, look in just this role play, how much more information I got by reversing, asking you questions, keeping the conversation moving.
Reversing?
Yeah.
You see these little nuggets here. What do you mean by reversing?
Just when you're asked a question, ask a question back. Instead of answering the question, ask a question back. See, each of us, Dan, through our whole adolescence has been pre-programmed to answer the question, right? From kindergarten to fifth grade to high school to college. You ask a question, you've got your kindergarten teacher on one shoulder, and you've got your mom and dad on the other shoulder, and they're saying, Danny, be a good boy. Answer the question, and if you answer the question, you're going to get a big gold star and a big circle smiley face and a good job on your paper with an exclamation point, and the kindergarten teacher is going to give you that paper to take home, and where does that paper go?
On the refrigerator.
Nobody ever gets that wrong, Dan.
Yeah, it's always on the refrigerator.
It's on the refrigerator,
Yeah.
right? So we're conditioned that way from such a young age. But as a professional salesperson, we need to figure out where that question is coming from. And the only way to figure it out is to reverse that conversation, do a 180, and ask a question when a question is asked. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to get to the point to where we're going to answer the question, because if you reverse too much, then your prospect is going to be like, gosh, is this guy ever going to...
Yeah. You said too much. Tell me about that. What's too much?
Too much. So my
how'd you like that reversal?
I liked it a lot.
In your face.
I loved it.
All right.
So too much to me is you should be able to do it 2 times, 3 times at the most, because then your prospect is going to start to think, wait a second, is this guy ever going to answer my question?
Right.
Is this guy a sales?
And that happens.
So here it is. Is this guy a salesperson or is he a politician? Okay. So we need it, right? So we do need to answer the question, but as we do the reversing technique and as we ask more questions, we're going to gather more information so then we can answer properly, so we can answer the right way, so we can make sure that fits with what the prospect is really, truly looking for.
So does this happen on every sales call? I mean, is this what if throughout those questions you find out that there's not a fit?
Walk away. Why waste your time? There's no reason.
Well, I mean, the fit is they don't think you're a fit. You're not giving me anything. How do I know whether or not I'm going to want to work with you?
You're going to get it.
You haven't been giving me any juice.
I'm going to give you the juice. I'm still going to give you the juice. All right. I promise you that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this questioning technique, right?
No, let's show me in a role play.
We just did that. We just did, because I would have gathered more information about what you want to do, what your goals are, where you want to go. Why didn't you meet the 2020 number that you thought you should, or maybe should have? What could we have done differently together that may have gotten you there?
Let me rephrase the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I know this is what salespeople who are listening to this are thinking about right now. How do I do this reversal technique that you're talking about? Mm-hmm. Without getting my prospect ticked off at me?
Tonality, I mean, is a big part of it. If you're on the phone, then you got to deliver it the right way. It's got to sound natural. You got to practice,
That's it.
right?
Yeah,
You got to practice.
I agree. That's where I was trying to get to. I think that's really important what you're saying here. That the techniques are one thing, but if they're not practiced, drilled, and rehearsed, almost to the point of nauseum.
It is.
Almost like if you could spend 30 minutes. A lot of times when I'm coaching people, I'll spend 30 minutes on the same question to the point that they hate me. So tell me what you do. And and if there's what we do. Man, we got to do it again. So tell me what you do. And we got to do it. And then, we go into something, then I come back.
That's
so
right.
tell me what you do.
Right.
And it's like, leave me alone already. All right, now, tell me what you do.
Right.
And get get the cadence and the tonality and everything right so it comes natural.
And here's what's so hard is that, like we talked about before, it's not natural because everything in your being is telling you, tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. Tell them how great we are. Tell them what great customer service we have. Tell them what great, results we've got. Tell them your story. Tell them your story. And you have to quiet that noise and you have to stand strong and know that asking the question is the right move. So then you can get the information that you really need, what's really important to the prospect. Because just because it's important to you, I hear so many of these companies that we work with. Well, we've got to communicate our brand. We've got to communicate our identity. We've got to tell people, how great we are. We've got to, it's all in the marketing pamphlet. The marketing pamphlet's right here. Yeah. It's these are the key difference makers. This is what makes us great, right? and I'm sitting there and it's like they're speaking a different language to me. It's like I gotta time out. Hold on a second. None of that makes it. It's all great stuff. Okay.
Okay. I've got to stop you again because you're saying. This is great stuff, and I want to make sure that people, because now there's consultants that are listening to this podcast, and there's people that are in business for themselves and want to do the same thing, and deal with their clients,
right?
Who are telling them, digital marketing people. Listen, we know how to do that. We're on Facebook. We know all this. Okay. They're telling them we have to tell them what we do. Otherwise, people aren't interested in our stuff. And they have to tell their clients that they're wrong without losing a client.
Sure.
Because that's a sale too. To keep, as an account rep, you got to keep your clients happy. Otherwise, the commissions stop coming. So how do you share that news that, no, Mr. Client, you're wrong, without them getting ticked off at you?
Well, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna push that one back to you because you are great, Dan, at making people feel okay when they're not okay, and you are really great at that. That's a gift. So let me ask you, how do you do it? Because I know how I do it, but I think there's many different ways.
Well, the first is thank you for that reversal, but I still want to hear your method.
You will,
because mine comes from a place of small business ownership. So I know exactly where they are, and I know exactly what they're thinking. And these people are smart. Listen, a lot of you people in small businesses who started something and got to a level. You didn't get that way. Not everybody can do that. Mm-mm. It's something special. You did it right. You've got your business to a level where it's growing because of you, and you're maybe there that it's probably not going to grow any further, also because of you. Mm-hmm. Not that you don't know how. It's just that it's very difficult for an owner to let go of the part of the business that they do best, which is grow it. And so what I do is I will totally understand where they're coming from at that time. Mm-hmm. And then let's say someone has a $3.5 million company. I'll just ask the question, have you ever had a $5 million company? Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a $10 million company? And so they got to areas that they don't know. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, why not?
Right.
And so once they give me the why not, they'll eventually come up with, because I don't know how to do that. And then you could say, well, I think we might have a solution for that. Let me show you how. And that's how we get it over. But it comes by first agreeing. It's just like overcoming objections. Mm-hmm. Step one, always agree. always agree. It's too much. I got it. Listen, if I were you, I'd be saying the same thing.
Right.
But let me ask you this. What did you expect to pay for something like this?
Exactly.
We're already using somebody else. Got it. Listen, it makes total sense that you grew this, but of course you're using somebody for this. But let me ask you, what do you like best about the way they're helping you grow?
Right.
Something weird when you ask somebody what they like best about something. It's a psychological thing. You ask them, what do you like best? They automatically think, what do you like best about your cable company? You know, automatically you think about the 3 things you don't like.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then those become your nuggets
Yeah.
that you come back for your selling point. So how do you make that transition with a customer that thinks they know everything already and is not willing to accept help?
Well, that's a different question. If they're not willing to accept help, then I'm not going to be able to convince them to do so. But let's say that there is a opportunity for us in a selling event where the owner is open to new ideas and really has a deep desire to grow their business and to take it to the next level, and they're committed to doing that. Then it's what we do. What I do is, I try to uncover that need structure, and I go back to the questioning piece. I'm asking a significant number of questions to try to determine, one, how did they get their business to where it is today? Because it didn't happen by accident. Like most of the time, there was a pathway to how they got to where they're at today. 2, why do they feel like they're stalled? Like, why do they feel like that's where they're at right now and they can't move the needle? What's keeping them from getting over that next hump? And then 3, and I think this is really important, Dan, you have to show a certain level of empathy when you're dealing with these business owners. And you really have to mean it. Like, when I say I love our clients. I mean, most of them. But in most cases, I have a really compelling reason, personally and professionally, to see them grow. Because I, like you, come from the foundation of small business owners. My parents were small business owners. I saw the challenges that they had in their business outside the home and inside the home, right? And so these were things that, and I think when you're talking about somebody's baby, you better be very empathetic when you're doing that. You better be very cautious on how you're moving that needle and asking questions and how you're giving them. When you talk about constructive criticism, it better be constructive. So, and all of that starts, in my opinion, it all starts with empathy.
Yeah, because parents even love ugly babies. Have you ever seen an ugly baby? The parents still love them.
I saw your baby picture.
Yeah, that's right.
I gotta say, man, oh my gosh.
Parents still love.
I would have never thought you would have turned out to look the way you look today.
Well, you got Mark Fonseca,
especially from that. From that small start to where you're at now.
By the way, let me tell you, that's a good story. This guy, Mark, came to the house. He wanted to get me new clothes. He said, "You look like a putz."
He did say putz?
Yeah.
Well,
he said, I think schlump or something like that.
Schlump.
Yeah.
That's better than putz, I think.
And so he came to the house. So finally, he convinced me. I said, I tell you what, I'll take a couple shirts. And he said to me, he goes, you know what? Let's wait till you're ready. Oh my gosh, it was so good. He goes, let's wait. He goes, listen, I'm looking to give you a whole wardrobe. I'm looking to change your life. I'm looking to make it, you're going to stand out when you walk into a room. I'm looking to make a big change in your life. A couple shirts isn't going to do it. He closed his book and he goes, we'll just wait till you're ready.
That's beautiful. What a memory.
Stood up.
Ready to go.
And I said, all right, sit down. It was so good.
Can't wait to go.
It was so good, and it was just because he knew his product, he knew what he was trying to do. Now, he could have been blowing complete smoke, but the fact is, dang, I'm digging this. I couldn't be happier that this guy. And sometimes you got to do it in sales. People don't like the pushy salesperson. So it's the exact opposite.
It is.
Take the whole thing away.
Right.
I'm going to wait until you're ready. If you don't want to change your life right now, businesses are the same way.
You're absolutely right. Setting the right expectation from the very beginning is so important. And Dan, it's all about that piece and being communicative with your prospect, and making sure that they really understand that sometimes there's a fit and sometimes there isn't. We were with an existing client this morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking to them about doing a competitive analysis, correct?
Yes.
Like that's one of the things that we're going to be doing for them and helping them with that piece. They had gotten one before. The company that and individuals that did that before spent almost 5 months on that previous competitive analysis. Now, they want us to do this one in 5 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So before the end of the meeting, and you were there, I said, you know what? If you wouldn't mind sharing the one that you did back in 2018 with us, because and you saw me struggle, and I struggled on purpose, right? And I said, because I got to tell you, I don't know if we're going to be able to meet your expectation. If you're expecting us to do something in 5 or 6 weeks that you spent and that you had another company and individuals produce for you in 5 months, I don't think it's going to be apples to apples. I mean, we're going to give you a good, solid competitive analysis in the time that we have. But at the end of the day, it's about setting expectation.
Yeah, but they're still going to want it.
They're still going to
They're
want
going to
it.
still want it just as good.
Yeah, but what did they say? So then at the end of the meeting, what did they say to us?
Yeah.
When I pushed back and I said, so we need to make sure we're going to be able to produce something that, because the worst possible scenario is us producing something that they don't like, right? Or that doesn't hit the mark.
Yeah, see, and
then
that's
what did,
all part of the after sale.
But what did they say? Do you remember what they said to us at the end of the
They
meeting?
said, we're not expecting that because you don't have the right time. They basically parroted it back exactly what you said.
Right. And they also said, well, then in that case, maybe there's some adjustments that we can make to the question set. Maybe there's some other things that we can do to pare it down, make it easier for you. Maybe there are just certain things that we actually really need, and some of this other stuff we just would like to have.
Important to set expectations.
Right.
And most people don't want to do it because, listen, we've been taught for years as salespeople, when you make the sale, when they sign the paper, get the heck out of there.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
Everything can go wrong. Only bad stuff can happen when you get out. But
Right.
Actually, something really bad can happen. You get back to the office and they already called in to cancel.
That's
They
exactly.
wanted to get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. Do you have a special way of doing that when somebody agrees to the? Let's say they're using somebody. Let's say they're using another company for digital marketing.
Right.
Okay, and you're calling with a better solution of digital marketing, and they say, okay, you know what, we like you guys this time. We're going to try you out. Very good, and the sale's not over for you then, is it?
No, especially if there's an incumbent.
Yes,
Because if
an
they're-
incumbent.
because if
You're
there's-
so political, always got to bring it back to elections.
Well, I'll try and stay away from that
Okay,
topic
okay.
right now. But so here's the thing, especially if there's an incumbent, because what you need to do at the end of that sale, and it needs to sound like this. All right, so let's role play it
Okay.
for the one audience member that's
All right,
actually
Chris,
listening.
we'll give you a shot. Very good. There's your paper. See you later, potato.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you as part of our team, and thank you for signing with us. And we're going to get this started right away. Now, Dan, I got to ask you a tough question.
I can handle it.
Okay.
I already
This
gave
is
you
a-
the money.
I got you.
Okay.
Now this is a needle mover. And this is a big contract for our company, and we're excited to get started on it. All right. Someone from ABC Company is going to notice that you've either left them or that you're not doing business with them anymore. Somebody over there is going to notice.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm going to have to call him.
All right. So help me understand. What's that conversation going to sound like, Dan?
We've decided to go with another company.
And
That's all. So we need to end our relationship together.
okay. Now, if they're smart, they're going to say, hold on, Dan. I got to put food on the table for my kids. I mean, I got to pay my mortgage. And they're going to struggle. And they're going to say, what's it going to take to keep your business? I mean, what if we told you we'd drop our price by 50%? What if we told you we'll make it right for you? You know, what if we told you we'll do anything that we can to salvage your business? Now what's the conversation going to sound like?
You know what? If they could have salvaged it and they could have done anything, they probably would have done it already. So I don't necessarily believe them.
Okay. I got you. Well, Dan, I got to tell you, I know you're a man of your word, so I know that's exactly the way it's going to go. And I really appreciate you telling me that. And so looking forward to getting this rolling.
You put the man of your word thing in there, did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, little cut.
That's
little
right.
cut, right? I mean, these are all little techniques that we use to make sure that we're keeping now our client accountable for the decision that they've made. Okay?
You see. And it goes full circle.
Right.
Back to control.
Now, guess what happens?
Beginning and end. Total control of the sale.
Here's what's crazy.
Yeah.
All right? That role play that we just went through.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward a week from now, and Dan calls me, and this is what the conversation sounds like. Okay. Hey, Chris. Yeah? Hey, Dan, how you doing? Hey, listen, I got to tell you, I called him. And you were right. The conversation went exactly the way that you said it was going to go. And I told him exactly what I told you. Oh. And it was laughable. I mean, I couldn't believe that the call unfolded exactly like you said it was going to.
Yes.
And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate this. And, you know, and I was chuckling about it, so I had to give you a call.
It's like they read the script.
It's because we conditioned them to have that call. See, what salespeople, and the good ones know this, we're conditioning our client at that point, and we're role-playing with our client at that point, so they've already got it scripted in their head. They know what they're going to say. They know what they're going to do. It actually helps them get over that hump, you know, to help them deal with the conflict and rejection that they're going to have when they actually do have a conversation.
Gosh, that works. That ought to work in any type of business scenario. Even when you have to hire somebody, what are you going to say when they say this? Mm-hmm. Or when you have to fire somebody, what are they going to say? What does that look like? What does that sound like? And you could role play that ahead of time.
That's right.
To make because letting people go is always difficult.
That's exactly right. Hey, so we've got just a few more minutes left in this segment.
Oh, do we?
So what did you like? What did you take away from this? What would you, if you were a listener and you wanted to just leave one impression, left with our listeners on this, this portion of the podcast, what would you say is an important detail that you'd like them to kind of stick with them?
If you're getting into the sales game, find yourself a product that you can get for free and you could sell for a lot. Right? Like your toys. I'm saying this for purpose. Your toys, the reason why that would, at 25 cents you had a good markup.
Yeah, I sure did.
Because you got them for free. It was a gift. They gave them to you.
Right.
Well, in this day and age, information that you create and sell is free. Services that you can deliver, the product itself is free. Mm-hmm. You just have to be able to figure out a way to market that in a way that you can get into sales situations and offer that type of value. And then let them make the decision. Let them talk and let them make the decision. If they want the outcome of those services enough, you can name your own price.
There we go. I love it. That's great.
There we go. That's what happens here on the Pipe Podcast. We start with nothing and wind up with something.
And it's free.
That's it.
For our listeners. Until they become clients.
All right. Well, that's Chris Cruz.
Yes. And this is the Deej.
That's Deej.
Dan Jourdan.
And this is the Pipe Podcast. You guys are awesome. We'll see you next time.